Yes. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the Saturday morning live stream here at the Garden Like a Viking headquarters in zone 5/6, which actually now officially has changed, which we will talk about a little bit later as the discussion goes on, because the hardiness zones have been reconfigured. Yes. And what does this mean for you? We will talk about that here shortly. And but yeah, we are now officially in zone 6. So we'll see about that. We'll see about that. I'll give my opinion. I got some things to say on all of that. But okay, let us give a second to get adjusted. The plants are trying to fall all over the place. Now is the time to propagate your pothos. Okay, so let us know where you're at, guys, where you're viewing from, where you're, if you're still growing anything, if you're still fortunate enough to be in a place that is still growing stuff, you're very lucky. So let's see. Rick, hello, my friend. Steve Johnson, hello, everybody. Therese, hello, my friend. Yes, frigid Southeast Ohio. Yes, it's a little bit frigid here as well. But, you know, it just is still not winter yet. It is like it just keeps getting delayed more and more and more as each season goes on. So we are almost to Thanksgiving, and it's still like I still have stuff in the garden. Things are not, I mean, typically things are totally dead by now. And when I say typically, I'm talking 15 years ago, you know, because we don't really have the typical winter anymore, like what we are accustomed to. But we'll talk about that here shortly. So let us see. Creative Soil, good morning, everyone, from Oklahoma, 7A. Oklahoma is 7A? Huh, cover crop of winter rye and red clover is looking good. Nice. It's a good year for cover crops because they would still be growing. Cecily Cronin, hi from Western Australia. Hello, my friend. Mick says good morning from Front Range, Colorado. Newly assigned zone 6A, former 5/6 or 5A and B. All right, yeah, newly assigned. Cookie Monkey says good morning from 8B, US. Big Wes says good day, eh? Canadian, yeah. I saw something saying I'm zone 11. I'm not sure if that's correct. Belleville, Ontario, Canada. I doubt that's correct. Zone 11. I've seen you say that you're in zone 11, and I'm thinking, what? That doesn't sound right. Canada? Zone 11? Let me know if that's correct. Someone fact check that. Brian Erie, hello, my friend, says good morning, Nate and Tribe from Southwest Kansas. Beautiful day here. Hope it is the same for the rest of my Viking friends. Yes, it is beautiful here as well. Hello, Pam. Hello to all you lovely gardening friends. Yes, Kip Tap from Bolingbrook, Illinois, Zone 5. Look to Nature says, good morning, Tribe. Pennsylvania got a light drizzle and brought the cool temps with it. Having 200 bulbs of garlic sending out roots. So excited for my first garlic. Nice. Good. Make sure it stays mulched. Let's see. Mick says, FYI, YouTube has a student premium for only $7.99 a month. Ooh, you guys should look into that, because guess what, guys? I know that we've been talking about it, but the YouTube has changed its sort of things with it. And so it's like, if you want to monetize the video, meaning if you want to make money on the video, of course, you turn it on, or you can turn it off. And it used to be if you turn it on, then you could set all the parameters and stuff. But then now it's if you turn monetization on, then they will automatically be placing ads throughout even the live stream, wherever they choose. It's a trip. But if you turn it off and you say, okay, well, I won't make any money with this video, I'll just turn it off. YouTube says, okay, no problem. We'll put our own ads on there anyways, and you just won't make any money off of it. So they've changed a bit in terms of that. So yes, you guys will probably, some of you will experience ads during this, but as of yet, we don't know how to get around that. So I just appreciate you bearing with us, because ultimately this is now my profession as well. So Natalie Dumont says, hello from Quebec, Canada, zone 4B, cold. Creative Soil, Oklahoma has 3 zones. Okay, wow. Ooh, yeah, that's hot. Got that ironwort tea once again, also known as Greek mountain tea, guys. It's wonderful, invigorating, and got the good energy, but not stimulant. There's no caffeine in it, but it's still grounding and energizing. And VA Green is in Lima, Ohio. Okay, good to see. So, guys, couple of things. For one, you should be on the bee pollen train, okay? This is some from my uncle, which is really good. Here's some from the co-op, but the stuff from my uncle is actually much sweeter. I like it better. But this bee pollen, guys, they say that it contains every vitamin and mineral. That's what they say, along with all kinds of enzymes. And I notice when I take about a tablespoonful of it a day, I just notice, well, it's a multifaceted approach because I just feel really good all the time now. But this is part of it. I mean, it's the essence of the flowers, guys. It's the essence of the plant. If you are into growing flowers and you're into observing nature, every time that the bee goes to a little flower, it's collecting some of it. They visit thousands of flowers and then deposit the essence of the flower right back for us so that we can utilize this wonderful gift. So I've been on the bee pollen. I've been doing bee pollen for years, though. I just love it. So I wanted to recommend that to you guys. Jerry Bates says, hi, all. Nice day in central Indiana for opening gun season. Stay out of the woods. Ooh, yeah. Opening gun season, huh? Nice. Jamie Copeland, yes. Hello, my friend. Jenny Grubb says, 5B, 48 degrees and sunny. Garlic has been planted. I only planted 40 of them. Dehydrating lately. Bought the Kasori and very happy. Yes, the Kasori is fantastic. Guys, if you want to know what one I'm talking about, that me and Jenny are talking about, it is in my Amazon storefront. You can check it out. There's 2 different kinds. The one my mom has is like a 5-shelf, kind of a small economical unit, but it's very good quality and very effective. But then there's the one that I have, which is 10 trays, and I swear it can hold like 5 times the amount of stuff. It's unbelievable how much stuff that 10 tray one can hold. And very powerful, yes. So Jane Gardner, nice name. Good morning from NorCal. Ooh, where at in NorCal? Tammy Harder says, Nate, putting my nativity set up this morning as we listen and chat. Yes, all right. So it is that time, guys. It is getting time for the holidays. You know, the Thanksgiving is coming, the Christmas is coming, New Year's, all of that stuff. So hopefully you guys have some good plans. And if you're trying to get stuff for people, you know, check out my Amazon store. There's stuff there. Get stuff that people use. That's the thing. I mean, you know, I'm not trying to be like, oh, everybody buy stuff for Christmas, but that's generally what Americans do. So if you're trying to get something, though, get something that somebody's going to use instead of a lot of people will get something that they like for that person. And it's like, well, but you need to know the person well enough to get something that will be useful in their life that they would maybe not get for themselves otherwise. Such as this thing, guys. I don't know if you check out my cooking videos, this is the knife I use. I love this thing. No, they're not sponsored me saying it. I mean, nobody sponsors me except you guys. And so but no, it's economical. This is a Chinese cleaver. It's Chinese vegetable cutting knife. See, it's very thin, and it's razor sharp. I mean, really razor sharp. And so it allows me, I like this because it's for chopping vegetables, because you can put your fingers all the way, you know how you use boom, 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 boom. Use your fingers as a guide so that you can do it kind of fast. This has got all that way to boom, 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 so that you can use your fingers without getting them caught up in there. And it's got all kinds of leverage on it. So yeah, when I'm doing things like stir fry, cutting through daikon radish, carrots, when I am making this delicious blend, you know, something like this with the garlic, the lemon, ginger, and turmeric, we can use this knife to boom, 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 slice it, dice it, julienne it, all that stuff. Super good, and it's only like $50. So it's like, I say only because they can get way more expensive than that. But this is a good combination. I got a couple of other ones that are lesser, and they just don't hold the edge as good. This one is holding the edge very well, stands up really nice. So if you got someone that likes to make stir fries and prepare garden stuff, I highly recommend this. It's in my Amazon storefront if you want to check it out. For the money, this is probably the best one. $50, something like that. So yeah, and it comes in this little carrying case. I'm just giving you guys ideas, until someone comes with a good garden-related question. So another thing, guys, the K-Bar, the trusty K-Bar, man. I got this in my Amazon storefront as well. This thing was by my side for years in Northern California. I carried it every day. It's wonderful. When you carry something like this, you find all kinds of uses for it. And it was my best friend for many years living in the mountains. It was right on the right side every day. So yeah, people like those. People will like those. So let's see here. Scott Miller says using homegrown soap additives. Soap additives? Okay, what are you growing to make soap additives, guys? Let's see here. Jane Gardner says San Fran Bay Area, nice. Yes, I lived in Humboldt for many years, outside of Garberville, Southern Humboldt. Let's see. Happy to Run for Me says, I prepped my garlic bed with a bucket of fresh compost, bokashi, and buried it. It's sitting for a couple weeks, then I'll plant the garlic after Thanksgiving. Nice. That sounds like a plan. Because, guys, the garlic is hungry. The garlic likes nutrients, and so it's good when you plant it to add a manure. You can even add fresh manure during this time because it's going to break down and become more plant available and more mild as the winter goes on and into the springtime. Because if it's your first time growing garlic, guys, remember that garlic will be the first thing to come up in the springtime. It'll be late winter and it will be popping its head up. Garlic is extraordinarily cold hardy, cold tolerant. In fact, needs the cold to truly vernalize. But you want it to not be in the want for nutrients. So you want it to have all the nutrients that it needs. And I still have not planted the garlic yet, even though I should have. By now, I should have. But I have not planted the garlic yet because I got so many different new kinds from you guys, which is awesome. There's like 25 different varieties from you guys. And then I got a couple of others from Fruition Seeds. So the main thing is that I have to decide how am I going to keep these all separate and know which one is which, because that's not my typical style. My style is I don't label stuff. I just know, and I just know, I sort of label things, but it's not like real rigid. But this I have to label. So we're gonna plant it soon. Thankfully, it's been very warm. It's been a real mild fall so far. So we are going to plant it, and typically I would put manures on top of the garlic. I would just tuck it into the soil. Watch my video on garlic. I would put an inch or two into the soil, put 2 or 3 inches of horse manure or cow manure or even chicken manure on top of that, and then put straw on top of that. I know it seems crazy, but garlic will poke through all of that stuff. No problem. Just don't use whole leaves as a mulch for garlic. You have to chop the leaves first. If you use whole leaves, and ask me how I know this, if you use whole leaves, it forms such a mat that the garlic can't poke through it. So it will suffocate even the garlic. So whole leaves, don't be using that, okay? But typically I would use the manure. This year, though, I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of Viking granular nutrients because I'm full-on R&D mode for you guys, perfecting the formula so that when I start to market that or whatever, that it's very, very effective, which it's already very effective. Tammy says, K-Bar would be a great gift for my husband. Oh, definitely. Yes, they would love it. And it's such a good looking piece as well. I mean, it comes with the leather and the USMC. And yeah, it's a well-made slip, resistant. And if you're in a situation where you got to carry this, what I liked about it is that it sends a bit of a message. You know what I mean? If you're in the mountains and things are kind of dicey and wild and it's kind of Wild West-ish and stuff, it's always good to have this just right out in the open. But then you also got to know how to use it. So you got to know how to use it. That's the other part of it. But it can keep people from getting any funny ideas. Creative Soil says, that's cool, Jane Gardner, the world's most expensive spice. You must be talking about saffron. I didn't know. Serene Dakota, $10. Thank you very much, my friend. First tip of the day. Got my honey, garlic, and turmeric. Also, the milk kefir grains from your Amazon store are thriving. Going to have to find someone to give some to ASAP. Loving my raw kefir every day. Listen to that, guys. Listen to that. She is taking full advantage of all the different things that we do with this channel and in the tribe, and she's really going for it. She's got the lemon ginger garlic ferment happening, which is like candy. It is so delicious because there's honey in it, raw local honey, and I've just been eating it by the spoonful. It is super good, but it's also fermented, so it's full of the high quality bacterias that we want. And also it's very difficult to store fresh ginger that you grow yourself here in zone 5-6 because the stuff that we grow ourselves, it has a very, very thin skin. As I've shown you before on previous live streams, it has a very thin skin, and so it doesn't keep that long. It's not like the stuff they grow in Hawaii and in Florida and places where it has years of growing season that has that thick skin on it. Ours is very, very soft and tender, but it doesn't store very long. But that's also good because it's nice and tender to eat. So we will store it this way where it will store pretty much all winter. I'm very sure of that. Yes, but then also the raw kefir. Guys, the raw kefir is game changing. Seriously. Let's see. Look to Nature Homestead says, Jane, how tedious is saffron harvesting? Yes, very, very tedious. That's why it's the world's most expensive spice. And because it is, you only get like tenths of a gram, from each gathering. In India, I would see the guys in the north, in like Manali and stuff, in the Himalayan foothills. There would be guys that would go out all day long just on a big path. They knew where the plants were and just harvest little tiny bits from them. Paul Bonham says, hi, Nate. Had a barrel of grass cuttings, leaf mold over the summer. It's now just liquid, but it's covered in a white mold. Does this mean it's gone off? No, it does not at all. In fact, these ferments, guys, like the J-Dom ferments, if you had a barrel of grass clippings with leaf mold and the water, that's going to be a good one. That's a very good one because it's high in the nitro. It's high in all kinds of good stuff. Because most plants back in their lineage are relatives of the grass, and so they need all different kind. They need the stuff that the grass is, and so no, it does not mean that it's gone off. In fact, all different kinds of anything that if you put the right ingredients, the grass clippings, the leaf mold, and the water, anything that happens within that barrel is fair game. It's all part of the process. You're going to see all kinds of gnarly colors, different molds, fuzzy, all that stuff. The only time that matters is if it's a ferment that we are eating. But the ferments, the anaerobic decomposition ferments, which is the J-Dom, that gets gnarly. There will be even maggots all up in it and stuff. Soldier fly larvae, not a problem. Not a problem. It's all part of it. Because essentially what has happened or what happens is that you put all those ingredients in there and the bacteria go to work decomposing it. Anaerobic ones, anaerobic ones, conditionally anaerobic, all of that consumes the nutrients, consumes all of the food in the solution. And once that happens then, and it's totally liquefied, they will die. They all die once the food is gone, of course. But that's okay because they leave behind their activity, their bodies and their feces and all of the stuff that is plant available. They've converted all of that stuff into plant available forms. That's why these anaerobic ferments are very good. But I've found that it's best, actually, over the years, I've found it's best to make the ferments and then let it totally digest before adding more or using it even. This is what I've found. J. Dom recommends that you can, keep adding to it and then keep taking from it, keep adding to it and keep taking from it, which I did for some time. But I now feel it's best to make it in batches and let it totally digest before using it and before adding more things to it. Yeah. Donald Hughes says, can you put garlic in with the ginger and lemon? You mean this stuff? I wouldn't do that because, and I had thought of that, but garlic would make it a totally different experience because as it is right now, it tastes like candy, like lemon drop candies. It is so good. You put garlic in there, that's really going to throw it off, in my opinion. That's why I didn't put any garlic in there. And my uncle said not to put any garlic in there. So, the Look to Nature says, making Tahitian melon squash patch. How much room? Guys, based upon your experience with the Tahitian melon squash, how much space should Look to Nature Homestead leave for the Tahitian squash? We'll come back to that. But share your experience. Lucas says, I got the grains going too that I got from Nate's store. Thank you. I finally got them active after a week. Stoked for the first real batch. Yes. And you don't have to use raw milk, but if you do, I don't have anything to compare it to, actually. I never used pasteurized milk, but people say that using the raw milk, they will grow much, much faster and much better. And that's got to be the case. I mean, they have like 8 times their size in the past several months. They just keep growing and growing and growing until it's like, okay, well, most of the jar is the grains now. So you have to like separate them. But what I have actually found, guys, with the kefir is I'm now making it in bigger batches. Make a gallon at a time and then put it back into the jug that it came from. Because every 2 weeks I get the raw milk. And so instead of making it every day like I was doing and having to do it every day, now that the temperature has gotten below 70, it's below 60 even. The house is 56 Fahrenheit at night and like 62, maybe 61 during the day. That's not enough for I found that the raw milk actually wants to start to become soured or curdled. It wants to start turning into labs before the kefir grains can overcome that. So it was actually turning, like that labs kind of smell. You know what I'm talking about? The feta cheese kind of smell. It was turning into that before the kefir grains had a chance to colonize it. And so for that reason, what I started doing was getting out the heat mat from the seed starting setup that we have. So we put the heat mat, but make sure you tape or secure the thermostat to the mat. You have to have the thermostat on there. Otherwise, it will cook. It'll be 95 or 100 degrees. So don't just plug in a heat mat and leave it. That will cook it, in my experience with heat mats, which is vast, okay? But you put the thermostat, keep it about 75, maybe even 80. Keep it at 80, and that's the ideal temperature. And that stuff so that gallon will boom so fast. It will turn. The kefir grains will be vigorous and they'll consume all of it, turn it all, and then separate the grains from the kefir, pour the kefir back into its milk jug, and then put the grains to sleep until next week in the fridge. That's how I've been doing it. And I find that's the best way to do it. Because then that kefir in the fridge now gets that second ferment where it gets really effervescent. Almost tastes like milk champagne. It tastes like milk champagne. I know that's kind of a strange combination, but it has notes of champagne. Sean Murphy, yes, it is okay to use the heat mat. But make sure you put that thermostat on there. Yes. Steve Johnson says, my Tahitian squash spread out 20 to 30 feet in all directions from the main vine, yielded over 130 pounds from one seed. That's what I was looking for right there. That's exactly what I was looking for. That is a proper experience with Tahitian melon squash. If you didn't get that much, if you didn't get that experience, then you can change your conditions, either more nutrients or more different timing or water, something. But that's what you should get from the Tahitian squash. One plant will spread 30 feet and it will produce, 100 pounds of food, no problem. It's incredible. And if they're cured right, then they will store all winter long. Mm-hmm. Happy to Run For Me says, Tahitian melon took about 12 feet around it, but I just let it roam in my walkways. Yeah, okay, 12 feet. Yeah, that's good too. Definitely. Definitely. So the Tammy Harder says, Nate, did you have any zone changes? And what do you think about this? Okay, yeah, good. Thanks for bringing that up again. So yes, everyone knows that the hardiness zones officially changed here recently. And what does that really mean for you? I mean, what does the hardiness zone really mean? I mean, technically, it only applies to perennials. I mean, technically, so the zone basically just tells what is the absolute minimum on an average year based upon so many days. There's a formula for it, but on what is the absolute minimum temperature that you will receive? And so here they said that it was -10 previously, and so we were zone 5/6, even though it's been -20 before, for sure. But that's not typical, So -10 or so. But I can't even remember the last time it got that cold, and so things have shifted. Now things have shifted. So here's the thing, guys. When a topic becomes politicized, it polarizes the minds of people, and so they get totally loaded with all the inertia that the political and media realm has put into that. And so if I were to say, so for a lot of people, if I say something like, yeah, well, I've noticed in my lifetime that the climate is sort of changes a bit, then instantly it triggers, oh, you're a climate change, you blah, blah, blah. You think of the Green New Deal and you think of all this and all this stuff. And, because it's become politicized. But likewise, if I said something no, I think it's just perfectly typical. Just everything's perfectly fine and normal. Nothing out of the ordinary. Climate change denier. This is because it's become politicized. And they want people to become as polarized as possible about a subject. Instead of saying, wait a second, I don't need to join one of those two tribes, one of those two crowds. I don't need to decide, because ultimately I don't know exactly, like if the climate change, if human caused and all of that, I don't know. Okay. But what I do know is what I see and what I experience. And I know that the climate is changing, has always changed, and that's what the climate does. Even if we have, I understand Milankovitch cycles, I understand, interglacial warm periods. I've done this research over the years, guys, and I've looked into it myself, and so it's not a thing of, well, is it human-caused climate change or not? One of the two crowds, you got to get there. No, it's not about that. It's about saying, okay, climate is changing. It changes. That's what it does. Even as far back as our records can go. This is the hottest day since records began. 200 years ago, if we're lucky? 200 years is the blink of an eye in a geological or a climatic time frame. 200 years is absolutely nothing. And so like your life, like our lifetime even, that's even less of nothing, even more of the blink of an eye. And so To think that we can say, well, it's changed dramatically since I was a kid, like as if that's some, oh no, that's a sign that something has happened or something all that means is that it's changing. Okay. And so what that means is that we need to set up our system so it is as resilient as possible. That's what matters to me, in my opinion. And so I'm saying, guys, set up all of your stuff to be absolutely as resilient as possible so that you don't have to concern yourself if it does warm up or if it does cool down. You can't control that. Okay. It's so much more complicated. Look up things like this, guys. Milankovitch cycles. Okay. Look up the interglacial warm periods. Look up the fact that we are technically in an ice age still. There is ice at the polar caps. And so all of these things, guys, it is wildly complex, so much more complex than the human mind can just say, oh, yep, I know for sure that it's this way or it's that way. So I feel it's very important for people to get comfortable with saying, okay, well, we don't need to make a decision on that exactly. But what we do need to do is set up our systems to be full of resilience. So that means that we are going to look at the new hardiness zones, and we're going to say, well, all right, so we're in a different hardiness zone. We're not going to panic. We're not going to say, oh no, the world's burning. We're just going to say, okay, well, we adjust our sails a little bit, and it really only has to do with perennials, ultimately. I mean, it's shifting the days. Yes, it is definitely shifting the days. Like I have noticed, definitely, that the winters are taking a lot longer to get here. And truly, since when I was a kid, the winters, when it became like November, it was winter all for like 4 months. There was snow on the ground. It was cold. And I know this because I was out there playing in the snow constantly. I mean, we're building forts. We used to build forts around Christmas time that would be there until the spring, and then melt in the spring. We'd have some times where there wouldn't be much snow, but there was always snow as a kid, and it would last all winter. And sometimes it'd be really deep, but that has not happened in 15 years. We'll get like one little snow event, and that's pretty much it. I mean, it's like it is right now, sunny and 50 in almost Thanksgiving. Last year it was around Christmas time in a t-shirt and stuff. Just crazy. And then we had a hot, dry summer for like a month. There was a drought, and then we had, So that's the thing. So that is what I have to say on the hardiness zone, guys. That you can pay attention to it, but don't let it freak you out. Don't let it, don't panic in any way, because it's always changing. You have to be prepared to adapt to changes. This is what it's all about. Yes. Thank you guys. You guys are feeling it. Yeah. Mom Computer and Therese. Yes. I'm glad you guys are here. Definitely. So it is. So yeah, guys, if you're feeling it, give it a thumbs up. Definitely. Definitely share it with people that need to understand this stuff, guys. We want to get more people in the tribe, because that way we got more knowledge base to draw from. And if you want to delve further into the knowledge and the share of knowledge and all of that, join our Discord community. There's a link in the description. And I'm new to Discord, just a month ago or something like that. But after you guys have been telling me enough to do it, I was like, okay, I'll check it out. But it turns out to be really cool, because you can share pictures. You guys, it's like a chat room for the Viking Tribe, which is super cool. So you can share pictures of your experience, your results, and get each other's opinions and experience. Sometimes I can answer, but I've got a lot of other things going on. But yeah, check it out. It's a very cool place. So link is in the description for that. Val, hello, my friend, says, Garden Like a Viking. Hey, Nate, can I use the chicken droppings with the wood shavings directly from the coop for the garlic bed? Can I use the chicken droppings with the wood shavings directly for... Oh, absolutely. Yes. Yes, you can. That is how I did it for the guys down in Tennessee. I've done it like that several times before, fresh. You can just put it on there. You can plant the garlic into the soil and then just put a few inches of the chicken litter on top of it. Yes, that will definitely work. Paul Bonham says, "Hi, Nate. Like you, I can remember snowdrifts 4 and 5 feet deep. We don't see anything like that nowadays." Absolutely, yes. Now that we can know for sure because we've lived the experience, and we can say, okay, well, I don't know the exact cause and I don't know the exact solution, but I do know that this is different than it was, for sure. Very clearly different. And it's happening fast. And so what am I going to do about it? I'm going to set up my systems so they are resilient. Maybe I have to start using drip lines, which actually for the first time this upcoming year, I'm going to use drip lines. I've been saying that the past couple years, but it just typically we would have plenty of rainfall, but now we'll have weeks on end with just high temperatures, full sun, and not a drop of rain. And so that is not going to work for here. And so this year I'm going to put down drip lines like I did in California, which is fine. That will make it more resilient. And also I'm going to plan a little bit differently. I'm going to plant, I can expand the season because our season has increased, definitely. We get like a longer season. There's still some komatsuna in the garden right now. So I'm going to plan for all of that kind of stuff, and you can succession sow things differently. Yeah, you can plant. We can get 3 full runs of green beans here now this year. I got 3 full runs from seed to harvest, and in the same ground, seed again to harvest 3 runs this year of the Kalima green beans. So that's pretty amazing. Jim Wise says, "How long will cow manure take before it is safe to use in the garden?" Well, the thing that you want to make sure of is that it is not contaminated with the grazon, okay, before using it. But then once you use it, if you put it out fresh, okay, no grazon, then if you put it out fresh, then you can, I've used it fresh. I've straight up used it fresh as a mulch, so long as you're not mixing it in so that it's touching the roots and all of that. But if it's real fresh cow manure, you can let it compost in a pile for a couple of months. Turn it, you can hot compost it, and in a month it's ready. Or you can just spread it on the field in the fall and let it be ready itself in the springtime. That's the best way to do it. So you can spread it out there now, and it will be perfectly incorporated by springtime. Mom Computer says, "My Apache friend says that being able to adapt is the only way the Indians survive. Take note, it's still necessary these days." Absolutely. This is the core of the whole philosophy. This is what I say. This is what I say repeatedly, that the human being is a marvel of adaptation. And I know this from my travels all over the world and seeing people in very harsh places, totally different from one another, thriving, surviving, but also thriving. Because the marvel of the human being, the human being's superpower is adaptation. On the Thrive Like a Viking channel on Mondays, I think we'll do a full episode just on that adaptation, the human being's ability to adapt, and where that comes from, and how that is evolutionarily, why human beings have that, and why we take the longest of all the animals in our helplessness stage. Yes, the infant. We take years before we can become self-sufficient, able to survive. Yeah. Way longer than most other animals. The horse can run like an hour after it's born or something like this. Us, not so much. So, Reefer Madman says, "Chickens in the garden are good for picking bugs and worms off." Man, when I had chickens in the mountains, though, chickens getting in the garden destroyed the place. They're good when everything's done, But if you got like little things growing and stuff, they're just scratching constantly. Pick any little thing. I mean, they will eat anything. The chickens will eat anything. And so I learned to keep them out. Keep them out of the garden until the end of the season. Then you can put the manure down. Then you can put the leaves down. Let the chickens scratch through the leaves and all that stuff. Worms all up in there. That's a great method. A really good method. Joe Slack says, I'm praying we don't have the typical 6 to 7 foot high piles of snow this year. Where are you at? That's Sean Murphy says, chickens are great for terminating cover crops. Yeah, that would be, really, that could be it, definitely. Big West says, you have some fish hydrolysate? Lawns love it. But I am crazy, and it's cheap for me in 5-gallon buckets. Dude, the fish hydrolysate, the fish fertilizers, guys, is the primo. I mean, that if you use that stuff, man, you will see. The plants just love it. The soil loves it. The plants love it. They love it soil drenched. They love it foliar fed. All that stuff. It's something about the type of proteins. I mean, I say something about, but I know what it is. I mean, I understand the process behind it. It's the type of proteins makes it's so easy to digest for the microorganisms in the soil and on the leaves as well. So that is why my aerated compost tea recipe, which is all that I used last year, contains the fish. And it's a great food source for the bacteria and the fungi. Now, you don't really multiply fungi in a compost tea, but you can grow them in a way. So we'll get into that this upcoming year. Yeah, Plum Smart Paul says, chickens eat the garden during growing season. Keep them out. Yeah, that was my experience as well. I think, that would just be a nightmare to let the chickens go, think that they're going to pick the hornworms and stuff, or think they're going to pick the cabbage moths, just gently pick them off the cabbage. No, they will eat the entire cabbage and then just grind it into the ground. You know? It's like, hey, we're going to let our hogs go in the garden because they will take care of grub worms. Let's see here. Yes, Cookie Monkey says, guinea hens are great for garden bugs, but very vocal. Yes, one ranch I worked on had the guineas, and they because in Northern California ticks are a real big problem in the conifer forest, and that these guineas will eat ticks and all kinds of the little tiny bugs and stuff like that. But man, they made sounds like you couldn't believe, and just constantly talking. Blue Wolf says, Nate, do you make apple cider vinegar? I could not find any videos from you on that. Yes, I do. I have. But I don't have any videos on that, no. Apple cider vinegar is very easy to make, though. Very easy to make. But no, I don't have any on that. And okay, so let's see, guys. The mustard video is coming out soon. I know that I've been saying that for a long time, but I had an issue with it the other day. But anyways, this is the first step, okay? This upcoming week, the mustard video, fermented mustard video will be coming out. This is the first step. Don't think that, oh, that doesn't look good. You just have to hydrate them for 24 hours like this. This is a mixture 50-50 of yellow mustard and the brown mustard. And so we hydrated them. Now I'm going to make the video for the rest of the part. We're going to use the mortar and pestle. The good one is in my Amazon store. Going to use that and mix in all the other ingredients. And then we're going to let it ferment for several days. And after that, we are going to put it into the fridge. But you can also just leave it out. It's fantastic, guys. I love this kind of mustard. I put it on everything. Mel's Variety says, I got your grow tent set up. Never tried to grow my own starts, but can't wait to try. Nice. Well, guess what? You're light years ahead of other people, and I was when I was starting back in the day. because it helps so much. If you watch my seed starting masterclass video, which there's a link in the description to that, right next to the all of the things you need for the tent, if you want to go that hardcore with it. But for some of us, we love it. So if you get the tent set up, guys, you can grow microgreens in it, which there will be a video coming here over the winter about microgreens. So get the whole setup or whatever it is, the tent set up and stuff with the lights and things and the fan and maybe a heat mats. Get that set up so that you, and then grow some microgreens, some runs of microgreens. And that is going to provide fresh, nutrient-dense food for you, but it's also going to make sure that you've got your system down so that when the time comes to start seeds, you just start seeds because you're already growing microgreens. So the climates for microgreens and seed starting are the same. And so you can just seamlessly transition into that. So yeah, I mean, I've still got green stuff coming out of the garden right now. Komatsuna and shijimisa and daikon radish, carrots, beets. Just yesterday, cabbage. Ooh, look at this. Watch. Yes, just yesterday. This is beets and red cabbage, green cabbage, carrots, daikon radish, ginger from the garden, and lemon juice. And you ferment these, guys. Shout out to Ursula for shredding all this stuff up. And you ferment them. And what is the ratio? Per pound of veggies, you add 2 teaspoons of the sea salt. And then you massage in, okay? And you can ferment pretty much any of them this way. But this is different than how we make the kimchi. This is different. But this is going to be really good, guys. It already is incredibly good. But we're going to let this ferment for about a month, and then we're probably going to put it into the fridge. Yeah. But we are going to put a cap on this. We are going to put a cap on this, definitely. And when you use the bag method, guys, be sure to make it brine. Be sure to make it in the bag. Don't fill it with water. Fill it with brine, because I will show you here in just a moment. Okay, so look how beautiful that is. But let me show you something else. Yes, you see how this is the kimchi, and we've been eating off of this one for about a month now, and it's delicious. But it was filled up to about here, and we had the I use the bag method for the lid. You know, if you watch my kimchi video, then you will see that that's how I do it. I like to add a gallon Ziploc bag and put the brine in it. But when I went to examine it, I noticed, even though I double bag 2 Ziploc bags, the brine, I double bagged it. When I took it out, I noticed that every single drop had somehow leaked out into the solution. So if you just put water in that bag, that will ruin the solution. That's it. All this work and growing this produce, pounds and pounds of produce, it's all out the window. But since I used the brine, it didn't affect it at all. In fact, I think it made it taste even better, and it made it more, I really like it, actually. It's really good. So it didn't affect it in a negative way at all. So now we've got this one. We've also got one in the basement full. So, because we love the kimchi, guys. We make it with the bone broth stew. And I've been making that bone broth. You see here, now is the time, guys. Use the rest of the carrots and the celery and the sage and the thyme and maybe oregano if you've got it. Daikon radish, a couple of them. And I make the bone broth. I've got about 21 quarts at the moment of the beef bone broth. And then just made first batch of the chicken bone broth, which for the chicken we just use rosemary, garlic, onions, carrots, and celery. Bunch of all of that. And then 2 whole chickens and about 10 chicken necks and backs. And we just did that for 24 hours. Let it stew. It is so delicious. We just had some chicken stew soup last night. But see, we'll use this bone broth and we will bring it up to a boil. And then then we can add the vegetables. We can add some of the celery, or we can add some cabbage, shredded up cabbage, shredded up carrots. We can add all that stuff. Let it boil for a little bit. We can even poach some eggs in it. We can put some meat, ground beef balls into it. We can put some chicken into it. You know, it's very, very versatile. So we eat that a lot around here. The broth is so nourishing. Big Wheel Dog says, question, just started leaf grass compost with labs. Should I need to flip over the winter? I would. If you want it, I flip mine 2 or 3 times over the winter. You don't need to, but if you want to make sure that all of the stuff on the outsides gets composted, you want to, if you have your pile here, you want to flip it all and take all the stuff on the outside and make that the inside of the new pile. That's what you really want to do. 2 or 3 times, yeah. Scott Miller says, watch that sodium intake. Yeah, if you're using pure sodium chloride, which is table salt with iodine in it, then that's very true. But if you are like me and you make everything that you consume from scratch, and you know all the sources of your sodium and of your sweeteners and all that, you know all the sources of all of that, you have nothing to fear with the sea salt. Sea salt has 82 different minerals in it that enables the body to digest and assimilate the sodium chloride properly, instead of just sodium chloride, which is table salt. And if you see salt in most of the prepackaged goods, they're talking about the sodium chloride salt, which the body doesn't know how to absorb that. It's very unnatural. And so that's where problems can come from. But with sea salt, guys, I don't even think about it. You salt it to taste, because once your taste buds become unenslaved, you've got one of the finest nutrient monitoring devices that there is. And that is the taste buds and the olfactory senses, all of that. You can trust your taste once you decondition it from the standard American diet. But yeah, and actually, if you're like me and you make everything from scratch, and you don't eat any salt anywhere else, then it's actually, to get 100% of your daily value of salt is actually a lot of salt. I mean, there's days, even though I salt, because I eat pretty much one main meal at night, maybe a couple small things like kefir and stuff, beef liver, once or twice during the day. But it's pretty much just a huge dinner is what I eat. And I salt it, what would be probably pretty heavily. But even then, I've portioned out what they recommend for a daily supply of salt, and I don't even use that much, not even close. So it's people that eat salt in packaged things that are getting huge amounts of salt, because the food is dead and it's grown in a way that it's flavorless. The ingredients are generic and tasteless, and so they have to overload the senses with salt and sugars and preservatives and all this other stuff so that it's like hyper palatable to people. This is disastrous, guys. This is disastrous. Okay. P. Morton says, I got some solar-powered buzzers for moles and voles. Now, do those really work? What's your experience with those? Does anybody have experience? Yeah. Yep. Yes. Mom Computer says, I came home one day and found no chickens. There was a hawk hunting them. I searched through the brush and found them all hiding. The last one was pinned by a hawk. The hawk ended up eating lead. Yeah, very unfortunate, definitely, but that is the reality of homesteading, guys. That's just the reality of homesteading. I mean, you don't want to take the life of the hawk, but if it's your food supply or the hawk, then obviously the hawk has to go, because that's an easy choice. But no, we're not out there just hunting hawks for no reason. So yes, Esma says, restaurants do that for tastier foods. Yes, tastier foods, but I'm telling you what, if you eat with me, it's unbelievably tasty. but it's because the quality of the ingredients is everything. I'm using bone broth that is like this, full of stuff, all from the garden, real bones from grass-fed beef, raised in the right way. And so they're using beef bouillon. It's better than bouillon cubes, just some mystery stuff with MSGs and all kinds of garbage, so there's all this salt because humans are hardwired to crave salt because the body needs salt. And actually in the natural world, it is very difficult to come by good supplies of salt if you don't live close to the sea. That's why indigenous people would travel ridiculous amounts of distance to trade for salt supplies. And Reefer Madman says, I used to make stocks when I cooked. Oh, absolutely. Stocks are a fantastic thing to use. Let us see here. Oh, yeah, that was what I wanted to. Jerry sent me a text or a message talking about last week's topic. Okay, we talked about homestead burnout, right? And we talked about how and Instagram and all that kind of stuff, it's kind of a joke. I mean, not a joke, but it's a facade, definitely, for the most part. And social media has allowed for people's lives to be very curated, okay? But Jerry brought up a very good point, which I wholeheartedly agree with in every way, and this is my personal experience, is that homestead burnout, okay, a lot of us are under the illusion that maybe our ancestors survived in such a way where they did absolutely everything themselves, where they individually or their one family did everything. And so people try to do too much. They want to have chickens and goats and cows, and then they want to grow their own wheat, and then they want to, they want to do everything. They want to try and do everything instead of realizing that we are social beings. Not in the sense that the human is a social creature, not in the sense that it likes to use Facebook and that it needs to talk to people in order to feel heard and stuff like that. That's one tiny aspect, but social in the sense that we require other people to survive. Because if you take an infant and you just set it there with no other people, that's it. It's done. It doesn't survive. So we require others to survive. And this is true all throughout our life. And so it's okay to sort of delegate a lot of the things. So if you need to establish the relationships with people to help share the load. So some people will have to raise the cows. Some people will have the pastured hogs. Some people will have the chickens, or some people will have the this or that, or grow this or that. Some people will have the bulldozer. When I was living in the mountains, this is how we did it. Like this one guy had the bulldozer, and he would come if you needed a space excavated, he would do that. Other people had other pieces of equipment. It just, you can rely on each other a lot more. Yeah. And it's being okay with that. So that's that was a very good point, Jerry. And I wanted to say that. Let's see. There was another thing I wanted to say on that topic, but I forget exactly what it was. So hopefully you guys have fermented the peppers. This is Tabasco peppers, and you can see it's bubbling. See it? It's bubbling because it is fermenting. This year, I didn't even use a starter. It's just salt. But we make a strong salty brine for this one. So this one is actually 3 tablespoons of the sea salt to 2 cups of water. And we pack all these Tabasco peppers in there, pour it over there, put the weight on there. We're going to let that ferment until the bubbles stop. That's going to be about a month and maybe 2 months. But then we're going to take it and we're going to make it into a hot sauce with the Vitamixer, which is going to pour this whole content along with some other ingredients, which I'll show you in the video. And then we blend it all up. But here's the ticket, guys. You have to allow it to age. Remember my story about when I made it last year and I tasted it right away. It was terrible. It was disgusting. So I just put it away in the refrigerator, and like 2 or 3 months later, my stepdad wanted it. And he was like, hey, yeah, I'll try it. And I was like, okay, sure. You can have some of this disgusting stuff but he tried it and was like, hey, that's really good. And I was like, what? So I went and got into the fridge and tried it again. I was like, wow, it tastes exactly like Tabasco sauce, except to me, even better. Because it has to mellow. That's the thing I realize. After you do the final mixing with the vinegar, you have to allow it to mellow because it totally transforms the taste. Brian Aries says, Nate, how are you celebrating Thanksgiving? Do you have any unique traditions? I would like to say that we have some kind of unique tradition, but no, we just get together. The family just gets together, definitely. For like 10 years, I was gone for the most part. I really wasn't, around, here. So it was just on the fly in other countries. But now it's just we all get together and share the meal and share the time. It's a family get together, which is great. The extended family as well. So, yeah. Esma says, befriend a mechanic and people that fix appliances that can't grow food and barter. Absolutely, guys. Barter is a wonderful thing. And when you start living with that lifestyle, it's great. If you have like mechanic skills, wow, that's very, very useful. Or carpentry skills, very useful. Or heating skills, any of the trades and stuff, that kind of thing, very useful. Or if you can grow food and you understand the processes, very useful. All that kind of stuff. The main thing is to, if you guys are thinking like, wow, I don't really have any skills to offer, well, you got to learn some. That's part of the resilience that we're talking about. That's part of the whole, cycle of things. And what we talked about as far as building resilience in your system and not worrying about the changing climate or whatever is happening is that you build resiliency in your systems. And that includes befriending people that have skills, but also having skills to offer. And if you don't feel like you have the skills to offer, you need to come up with some. You need to think, okay, what would be a good thing that people would want that I can do, that I would be good at? Yeah. There was one guy in the mountains that had a moonshine still, and he was distilling his own liquor. And he was like, when the grid goes down, I'm going to be in very high demand. At the time, I was like, oh, yeah, definitely. But now, not so much. Let's see. P. Morton says, whenever I go back to the States, I always go back during Thanksgiving. It's good to see almost everybody. Yeah, it is wonderful. It's a great tradition, Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is one of the best for me because I just like it because it's not like a consumerist holiday. Christmas has become, as a culture, very, very consumer driven. Just buy, little trinkets and a bunch of stuff and junk. Even though my immediate family, it's wonderful. But the pressure to buy things and stuff, yeah, I felt it big time when I came back from the mountains and stuff and I didn't have any money at all. And yet it was like, Christmas is coming up and you're like, oh, how am I going to pay? I'm going to buy a bunch of stuff for people or what? How? It's just, you feel that pull when you're in it, But now I've learned the happy ground, Esma says, what was that food, Nate? What food? What food are you talking about? Big West, sell me some of your Tabasco. Oh, yeah? We'll see how much there is. Wouldn't that be cool? I could send you a little flask of it to wherever you're at. Zone 11. Let's see here. Val says, hey, Nate, what dish do you bring to your turkey dinner gathering? Yeah, so it can vary. Sometimes I will bring a squash, like the Tahitian melon squash. I will cut one in half and roast it, and I like with a little bit of brown sugar and a little bit of cinnamon, nutmeg. I like that type, and I'll roast it in the oven. And people like that, can just scoop it out. But also, maybe okay, guys. I grew a honey nut squash this year out of the compost bin. All right. I don't know if you watched my electroculture video, you saw how huge and vigorous that plant was. And if you know what honey nut squash are, they're supposed to be like this big and like that big around. Okay. I mean, a big honey nut squash is like this size. All right. But these honey nut squash were absolutely massive, and they just got huge. This one is a little bit closer to the natural color and size, but they just got huge. Very, very sweet. I really like the honey nuts, except they don't store very long. So we're eating these first. But these are perhaps the sweetest of all the squash that I've tried. All right. So let us see here. And okay, but this year I'm probably gonna bring some beans, like some English. Think of like if you get an English breakfast somewhere when you're traveling or whatever, and they always have baked beans. English baked beans are different than Boston baked beans, and I'll probably make the English type because I make my own tomato sauce out of all of that. I got it canned in the basement, getting ready for all that. So I'm probably gonna bring that. I think. I don't know. What do you think sounds good? Real CLS says, could you give some basics on growing summer savory? Yes, summer savory is one of my favorite herbs to grow, guys. And it can appreciate rich soil. A lot of times you'll read where they say that, oh, these herbs, they don't like rich soil, because blah, blah, blah. But most things like rich soil. Sweet potatoes are going to be one exception to that. But most things like some good rich soil. And so I found this year I had an incredible summer savory harvest. I was using it all summer long, but then I also dried a bunch of it. I got like 10 bunches of it drying right now. It was grown right next to the rosemary, and it loved it. So get the summer savory, and you have to have a real mellow soil to start with, meaning that it can't be big and clumpy and stuff, a bunch of clay. So kind of prepare it so that it's mellowed, for at least a couple of inches down. And then just sprinkle the seeds. The seeds are really tiny, almost like dust. I mean, the seeds are really tiny. And so you just sprinkle them, and you can put them pretty thick. And I don't bury them at all. You just sprinkle them right on the surface, and maybe just kind of shake up the surface just a little bit. But yeah, you can do it if you're planting in the ground and it's like regular ground or clay. Then prepare the soil however you normally would, but then put just like a gallon of potting soil down so that it's nice and mellow, and then sprinkle the seeds pretty heavily and then water it in good, because you don't bury these seeds. The summer savory you don't bury. Yes, Queen RB says summer savory is good companion to beans, onions, and squash. Yes, definitely. I use it in place of oregano. I like it. It's not as sharp as oregano. I use herbs and all kinds of stuff, but I definitely like it in the bone broth. Yes? Yeah, guys, share what do you bring for Thanksgiving. Yes, share that. If you're watching it after the fact, share it, please. Or right now, go ahead and share it. Val says, I usually make a sweet potato, green apple, and onion casserole, drizzled with honey, and mix in, bake. Whoa. Yeah. If you're in the Discord, Val, send some pictures of how you do that. A picture is worth 1,000 words, so if I could just see the picture, then that'll answer all my questions. Yeah, that does sound good. VA Green says, visiting Lima for the weekend. I feel like I'm in the heart of commercialized farming. Nothing but last year's soybean fields and cornfields going out of sight. Oh, I know. You're talking about Lima, Ohio? Oh, man. You drive through Ohio, it's like driving through, Indiana. It's to where it's just, but Ohio even more. Just straight up as far as you can see, just GMO corn and soybeans. It totally defies comprehension, guys. How much, how the scale of the modern industrial ag complex. It just defies comprehension. I mean, oceans, as far as you can see for hours on end, driving through the Midwest of just corn and soybeans. I mean, it's unbelievable. And they are, well, most of the farmers around here, though, almost all of them, they inherit their farms. So these are not like, they really don't know that much about growing. I mean, they know, like, and I got farmers in my family, so don't take it personal, guys. But it's, I got those kind of farmers in my family. But what I'm saying is that they know how to drive heavy machinery. They know when to plant the seeds, and they know what chemical to apply when. That's the main things that they know. But if you start trying to talk to them about the nutrient cycling or soil food web, or how nutrients become available to plants, or how the system works, they have no idea whatsoever. And but they get super offended because who am I? I'm just some little Joe gardener. I don't know nothing. They're the ones out there growing real food. Well, okay. That's eventually that mentality is going to have to come to an end, though. But yeah, guys, you can't even imagine how toxic that stuff is. I mean, just super mega toxic. And that is what we continue to do. There will come a time, if the human race survives for 1,000 years longer, then there will come a time when we'll look back on this and we'll just think it sounds totally insane. It sounds insane that we are spraying our food with petroleum-based chemicals. I mean, deadly poisonous chemicals spraying all over the food system and genetically engineering all of these things, which, before you say it, is totally different than selective breeding. I get that argument a lot from people. All crops are genetically engineered. Every time that you select a certain trait that you want and breed it with a parent, that's genetic modification. No, that's not. Okay, that's selective breeding. That's totally different than going in a laboratory with scientists and splicing genes from one thing and adding it to another, a total Frankenstein thing. That's completely different. Okay, that's not even, I don't even have that argument with people because they obviously don't understand the process. So, guys, there's going to be consequences for all this. I mean, we live in a world that is of cause and effect. We live in a world of cycles, and we live in a self-contained life support system. That is the planet Earth. We are basically on a spaceship hurling through space, and this recycles everything. It is so mind-blowing when you think of it in this way. Even our greatest technology cannot even come close for 1 second to produce something like this that can self-sustain itself for eons, that can recycle the waste matters and keep life sustained in just a perfection, harmonious balance. So it's really incredible when you think of it this way. And this cycle is it's resilient and robust, but it's also delicate in the sense that you can't just be doing things like we're doing for so many years and on the scale that we're doing it without repercussions. We're just not, because it throws the whole cycle off. Anyone that understands systems dynamics or process engineering, any of those kind of sciences, understands that the cycles can be thrown off. And so it's there's going to be, and in my opinion, we are entering the age of consequences. That's what I'm going to call it, the age of consequences. Because for the last 100 years, we've had this unbelievable surge of carbon energy of the fuels, the gas and oil and diesel, and we've built entire civilizations with it and on it. But it has just sped up the entropy of all other resources on the planet to an unimaginable degree. And this drove home when I was traveling, and I was in India and Thailand and Vietnam, Cambodia, and then I lived in Greece and traveled around there, Albania, traveled through all of Europe, and I traveled all around, guys. And I seen the scale of the human endeavor is mind-boggling. And the consumption of the resources and the terraforming of the land is just leaves you speechless. And so that's how I know in my heart there will be a huge age of consequences. We are just putting that off on the future generations at the moment. Even though we're starting to feel that now. And I'm not talking about climate change and all that politicized stuff. I'm just talking about the poisoning of the environment that sustains us and the rampant consumption of natural resources that can never be put back. You guys have to understand entropy, okay? Read the book Entropy by Jeremy Rifkin. It was written in the 80s. It is a fantastic read if you want to understand what is going on around us right now, okay? Entropy is the supreme law that governs the universe. The second law of thermodynamics, that all things go from an organized to a disorganized, from a usable to an unusable. Think of it. When I put a hot cup of coffee in a room, the heat always goes out into the cooler. Yes, it always goes to the disorganized. You never put a cold cup of coffee into a room and all the heat in the room goes to the cup of coffee and the cup of the coffee becomes warm. It doesn't work like that. It only happens in one way. And all of our natural resources, boom, 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 entropy, entropy, entropy. And the fuel is just the engine that allows us to do the entropy faster. You see, we're in a predicament, guys. When you understand this stuff, we are in a predicament. That is the difference between a problem and a predicament. A problem is solvable. It has solutions. You can get out of it. A predicament is not solvable. You just have to learn to live with it. You have to deal with the consequences now. And we are in a predicament as a civilization. It's not really a problem anymore. Ursula says, put that coffee in a sauna. Yeah, really. Man, guys, we've been getting the sauna up to 205, 210 once. I mean, blazing hot. And before we do the ice bath. The classes are going really well. Everybody is loving it. So yeah, if you guys want to see the sauna I'm using, look at the links in the description. They're towards the bottom. There's the tent sauna. That's a wood-fired tent sauna. If somebody loves sauna, guys, and you're thinking about Christmas, get them one of these tent saunas. They will flip out. They will love it. It's wood burning though, so make sure you have a good hickory or ash or elm. But man, we're in the sauna all the time now. It's amazing. Pour the water over the rocks. There's also a steam room. It's like a little grow tent steam room. And there's a link to that one in the description as well. So yeah, it's been really great. Big Will Dog says, Nate, I know you eat the cheese from the labs, but being my first time, I threw it into the compost as well. Is that a mistake? No, it'll be fine in the compost. If you got chickens, feed it to them. They love it. But you definitely can eat it. I mean, a lot of people, that's their favorite reason for doing it. Cheesecake says, Nate, there's these green grains in Vietnam that make delicious food. I don't know their name in English and haven't seen those grains in America. If you know what I'm talking about. If I seen a picture, I would know what you're talking about. But there's so many different things. When you're a Western person traveling through Asia, your food palate is just being stretched into oblivion. I mean, it's incredible. All the different sounds or the taste and the flavors, the different food sources. It's incredible. Queen RB says, I have been speaking on pollution and then soil pollution as our biggest challenge. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because the earth is a life support system. So it has a certain capability to recycle the waste products. Because in any system, you have to see, okay, what is happening to the waste? All right, but we have way overstepped the capabilities of this planet to recycle the waste in an effective way. And so we are now just piling up the toxins and the poisons and overloading the systems. It's the way it is, guys. It's a terminal diagnosis for this current method, for this current civilization, for the current way of doing things, okay? But like I said, it's a predicament. It's not a problem, because a problem can be solved. A predicament, you just learn to live with it. Which doesn't mean in any way that we just, then forget about trying to be conservative or trying to be, grow your own food organically and all that. No. That's not what that means at all. It means that I, in my own world, I'm doing everything that feels right as far as sustainability and organicness, the ways of the ancestors, all of that. In my world, I'm taking care of my part of the world, as much as I can, And so if each person does that, I mean, what is society except a collection of individuals? It's the sum total of all individuals. So if you do the same, and then you do the same, and you do the same, then we're good, Mick says, my work pays for college, so at 52 years old, I have gone back to school, sustainable food systems major, hoping to expand my garden into something I can help others with and earn a living at it. Nice, man. Sounds awesome. Good job. Good job. I gotta get some of this ginger honey. Oh yeah, look at this. Whoa. Oh my gosh, man. Okay, wait, I gotta get a fork. Yes, got that good silverware. Yes, picked it up from Facebook Marketplace. This was Helen's, Nancy's mother. She got it as a wedding gift in 1961, and it was in mint condition. And I got it from them off Facebook for very cheap. But yeah, so we got to eat some of this stuff, guys, because of the throat's getting a little bit hoarse. So let's look here. Look at these huge chunks of ginger. Let's get us a chunk of, try and get us a chunk of, okay, look, here's how we eat this. See all that ginger and all of that lemon, the big chunk of lemon, and some of that turmeric. Now this is fermented for about a month. You hear that crunch? Guys, there's no way that I could eat these individual ingredients like this without this process. You can't just eat a lemon like that or eat ginger like that. Jason Boaz says, I can't stand ginger. Blah. Yeah, well, you could stand it this way. It tastes like candy. I mean, I don't know what more you could ask for as far as flavors of something. Mick says the slurp person is going to have a heyday with the crunching. Yeah, oh man. No, Val, I would not use turmeric powder instead of turmeric root. I would not. I would just omit the turmeric. Because it would, what's so good about this is that, oh, you want to try it, Reefer? Here, take some. What's so good about this is its inconsistency. That's what's good about it, because you get like a chunk of the lemon, you can taste each individual thing slightly. But if you use turmeric powder, you won't get that. Okay, why did I take another bite? I'm doing a live stream. It's just so good. I mean, the main problem, I'm going to grow way more ginger next year so that I can make more of this. Because the main problem is that it's going to be gone too soon. I mean, man. This one we just made yesterday. That's all we had left. Seed of the lemon. That's right, Pam. It's so good. Oh my goodness. All my senses are going, whoa, yeah, more of that. More of that, please. It's really good in my throat, too, from talking so much. Pete Pender says, have you the recipe, bro? Yes, I just made a short on that. So check out the channel or my Instagram account as well. Check out, I made a short where I show you how to make this. I'm pretty sure I posted it, right? Okay, so the, let's see here. Happy to Run For Me says, when is best to plant ginger and turmeric? Please watch my video that I made last year all about growing ginger. We're going to start it in about late February, and we're going to plant it out after the last frost, well after the last frost. So about the middle of May, is when we'll plant it out, once it's nice and warm. So ginger and turmeric can be grown in the same way. So you treat them pretty much the same. They're both rhizomes, and you will grow them in the same way. Val says, I'm going to go to Sprouts for the turmeric root. I want all the benefits. Absolutely, yeah. If you can get turmeric root, definitely get the full turmeric root and just chop it up, put it in there. But you got to add copious amounts of the honey. You want to make sure you got the good, raw, local honey. Yes. Sal A says, Nate, did you make a video on harvesting ginger? Not a specific video on harvesting ginger, I don't think. It might be a short. Probably not, though. It's probably in the ginger tutorial, a little bit of the harvest. Harvesting the ginger is very simple. And you just pull it up, and the ginger's got roots going down, shoots, plants going up, and rhizomes going out to the side. So you just pick off the roots and cut off the shoots, and you've got the rhizome. And that's all you need. And yes, I wash it off because, like I've said, the stuff that we grow ourselves does not store very long. It stores a couple weeks in the refrigerator, yes. All you guys talking about slurp, crunch, LOL, keep doing it. Thanks, Plum Smart, I will. But what I do, guys, when I grow ginger, and a few years ago turmeric, is that I plan so that I'm going to make all my ferments right about when the ginger harvest time comes in. You want to let ginger go as long as possible. It needs 10 months, really, to be good. So I got a phenomenal ginger harvest this year, and it was very vigorous, and it was in extremely rich soil because I used the Viking nutrients way probably too much, because it's better to start with too much and then back it off. That's how I like to do things. Back it off if need be. And so I probably won't back it off, actually, from that next year because it was so great. But you want to time. So you're going to make your kimchi. You're going to make your garlic, or you're going to make your ginger, honey, lemon. You're going to make your other fermented vegetables. You want to time it so that when you harvest it, okay, like the next day, you're going to make a bunch of this. You're going to make a batch of kimchi. You're going to make a batch of fermented stuff, and that's how to do it. Yeah. Because it will, the fresh ginger, there's nothing like it, guys. It's so better than anything you ever get from the store because of how tender it is. And it's just bursting with that flavor. And then, especially now, my throat's a little bit, it's got that bite to it, definitely, but it's all mellowed out. The fermentation process and the honey. Yes, shout out to my Uncle Dave for the honey. Big Bear Prepper says, hey, Viking, I have raised beds in greenhouse. What should I do to prepare for winter? Okay, so I would say check out one of the last videos I made about what to do with the leaves. Pile up leaves and green materials, okay? And even some chicken manure, whatever it is, and you can run over it all with the lawnmower and make it into a nice, fine chopped up stuff, and then put the chopped upness, okay, method 5. If you watch the video that I made, how to use leaves in the garden, just a few weeks ago, method 5 is what I would recommend for you. Chop it all up and then put it into the beds. That's what I would do. Or you could plant a cover, but it's pretty late now. It's pretty late by now. Big Wheel Dog says, Nate, I could use your thoughts on my limited space on my property to increase production when you come to Indy. Yes. We will make that coincide with my next trip down to see Jerry at some point. It might be in February, though. So I'll probably go down to see Jerry in February to get some more of that beef. And I will incorporate that into a trip. Don't let me forget that, though, okay? Big Will Dog, when you hear me talking about I'm going to be going down to Jerry's in February, tell me that I'm going to stop by your place as well, and I will do that. Yeah, Val, Sprouts is a grocery store. Not talking about Sprouts. Joe Slack says, can I chop the ginger, turmeric, and lemon fine instead of sliced? Yeah, you can, definitely. I think that you can. This is my first year growing this or doing this stuff. My uncle just showed me about a month ago when I went to get some fresh honey from his hives. And he gave me, I got 4 gallons of honey from him. And because when you see a good thing, guys, you got to get up on it. You gotta get on it. And so I got 4 gallons because I go through honey. The only sweeteners that I use is honey and maple syrup, and none of my food is sweetened otherwise. I mean, and I use some jaggery, the hardened sugar cane, evaporated cane juice. Sometimes in certain recipes, more oriental recipes. But yeah, it's just honey, maple syrup, and molasses. But none of my food, I mean, I make everything from scratch. So those are the only thing that I use. But that being said, back to the point, I have only done it this way. So I don't know if you can finely slice it or if you can finely chop it. I would imagine, though, I don't see how it could matter. Because it's not like a real ferment. I mean, it is fermented. There's bubbles and stuff like that, but it's not like the big thing. It was never pressurized and stuff. It doesn't ferment like the salt-based ferments do. It's very different. Reefer Madman says, I have a variegated ginger plant. Is that edible like a regular ginger? I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, I know what you're talking about. The ornamental type gingers, I don't think they're the same. But I could be wrong. Mick says, just about time to start sprouts and microgreens. That's right, guys. Get them sprouts happening for sure. Alfalfa sprouts are the number one. Alfalfa, which they say means the father of all foods in the ancient Arabic language. And so, yes, very, very powerful and important. So we'll talk about more about that as it goes on. But guys, if you haven't already got your mushrooms, give it a go again, okay? So there's links in the description to get the lion's mane, but also the yellow oysters or the blue oysters. And I've got the links to those videos right next to the links to buy the mushrooms. And you can watch, especially the third video, which shows you how to actually sterilize the straw and stuff. It's not that complicated, and it's very rewarding, and it's super delicious. So use the links in the description. Use the promo code or whatever it is, because I get a tiny kickback off that. And it's like Garden Viking is the code. You get 10% off. And then get you a couple things. Get like the yellow oysters and the blue oysters, and grow them. And then they'll come and grow them on straw. Yeah? And it's super cool. From each oyster thing, you should get 2 of the 5-gallon buckets. You could do 4 of the 5-gallon buckets, but to begin with, it's better to mix it too heavy so that less room for error and contamination. So do that. And then before long, once the lion's mane start fruiting, I'm going to have the lion's mane video, which the lion's mane we do in the same way, pretty much, except we use hardwood pellets. You know, the kind for like your store or for your stove, your wood stove, those kind of hardwood pellets. We just use that, like $4 for a bag of hickory hardwood pellets. And we use that instead of straw. That's the only difference for the lion's mane. So you just sterilize that in the same way that you sterilize the straw. And you can see it in the video, and just replace those with the straw, or with the hardwood pellets. And that's what the lion's mane grow on. The lion's mane don't grow on the straw, all right? But it's a wonderful experience, guys. So get into it. Use the links in the description. We appreciate that. And you will have success. Let me know if you got questions on that kind of stuff. These mushrooms are delicious and super immune boosting. Especially lion's mane has got all kinds of cognitive benefits. What it does to the myelin sheath around the nerve endings in the brain. Yes, keeps it from deteriorating, which is like Alzheimer's and stuff like that. Okay, so very good for you. Kip Tap, yes, I'm definitely doing that. Nate, please don't forget to link up to your guys for the aerated compost tea equipment so we can get it prior to summer. Definitely. I'll make sure all that is taken care of in plenty of time. Yeah, it'll be right over I'll make sure of that. Yeah, I'll make sure of that. Gloria Young, yes, thank you. You're welcome. I lived in California for some time. So, okay, guys. Well, join the Discord. Okay, it's pretty much that time. So, join the Discord and let us know. There's a sprout microgreen section. There's so we're gonna add a mushroom section. That's what I'm gonna do. And let me know if you got questions. And oh yeah, My mom made this, me and my mom have been making this applesauce, which has been awesome because it was harvest time for apples. So we just take the apples, put them in the Vitamixer, or we core them, put them in the Vitamixer with the skin on and everything, and liquefy them, puree them, and then put it into a pot and just slowly reduce it for about just 2 hours. So it reduces by about 10%. And guys, that's all. That's it. No water, no sugar, no nothing. And it is amazingly delicious. It tastes like cinnamon and nutmeg and all that stuff is already in there. I mean, it is so good. And all it is apples with the skins on, but you got to liquefy it in the Vitamixer. Okay. All right, guys. Shelly Goslin said, you tried oyster mushroom kit this year, but only got a couple of small mushrooms. Was an expensive mushroom. Yes, but it's a learning experience. You need to keep it more humidified. Use the tub method that I showed in the video. Definitely. Sean says, we need a mom like a Viking channel. Yeah. I'll tell you said that. I'm going to go meet up with them right now because we're going to go and make some chicken broth. That's right. Mick Haggerty, $20. Thank you very much for the parting tip, my friend. Says, thanks for all the inspiration and positive encouragement. You are very welcome. Yes, thank you for being here. Therese, my friend, yes, says, this has been yet another incredible knowledge share. Thank you so much, Nate. Can't wait for the first edition of your cookbook. Definitely, yes. And thank you so much, Therese, for the inspiration. I'm so happy that our paths have crossed. And so, guys, I will see you all next week right here, 12 noon Eastern time on Saturday. Also, if you want to get down with other topics, such as, all kinds of other topics on the Thrive Like a Viking channel. It's every Monday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. It's on Thrive Like a Viking. There's links to that channel in the description below. I think this Monday, Jenny will be there. So it might be it's going to be two of us. So, all right, guys.